back to RockCrawlinJeeps. We apologize for the delay in content. However, new job, new kid, new work schedule. Shit got a little crazy. So, this is what it is. We're back. And better than ever, actually. We've, man, we have a bunch of stuff, man. I have parts laying everywhere for everything. From seats to trusses to lockers to axles, a fresh Miller welder. We're now 220 volts, so we can actually weld a truss on this thing. So behind the scenes, we've been slowly working and getting things where we needed them to be able to bring you guys more content. And I'm happy to say that we're finally there.
So what's the plan for today, Zach?
Two things. I'm gonna work on this thing while Dylan works on that thing.
That's the 8274. It hasn't been cleaned since we last stopped filming, so I want to finish that up today.
So that stuff has been in the background. We haven't really had a chance to do a whole lot of any of it. So I'm going to tackle my axle. He's going to tackle his winch, and we're going to get to it. Bam!
Ooh, spicy.
Artec. Damn. Like literally all we are is a wire wheel away from a truss. Like, that's so dope.
So Zach, just explain what this truss does for people that want to easy swap, tons under their Jeep.
So essentially what this is bolt-in one-tons. I can't describe it any other way than that. If you have a welder or your buddy has a welder and you can buy him beer or, whatever in Utah, some Diet Coke or something, I guess. But if you have a friend that's capable of welding or you're capable of welding and you're not a complete moron, you can install this kit in a weekend. Realistically, you can weld the kit in a day, you can have the brackets done, and then you can have it underneath the Jeep the next day. I guess if you're really pushing, you could maybe do it in a day, but we're not doing that. We're not prepping for a race just yet.
We're prepping for Moab 2021 at this point.
No, we're prepping for EJS 2020, and he's a smartass. So this rig, I will eat crow if I'm wrong, but it will be at EJS. We are going. It's going to be on tons. It's probably not going to work right, but we're going to be there. Can't be worse than last year. I rebuilt an ARB in a parking lot. So, but this enables you to grab like the rest of what you've got. This thing comes with all sorts of goodies. Like these are my shock mounts. You've got your lower control arm brackets. And everything's packaged individually. Like literally, you would really have to be dumb to screw this up. Link mounts for the uppers. And then we have my coil perches. And they literally, open. I have not opened this. I ordered this on Black Friday. I haven't opened like anything.
That's how far we are behind.
So what this does is you literally set it up against the axle truss where that cradles, and it just butts right up against it, and you have a coil spring, coil perch. You put that right there and you weld it home, then you have a coil retainer. And in my case, because I have a Grand Cherokee, I'm going to be using these coil retaining perches that have the relief cut, so my coil spring can ride in them. Artec no longer makes a ZJ specific kit. So this is actually the TJ kit. Thankfully for us, pretty much everything's the same. And I run a triangulated rear long arm setup. So I'm not worried about how TJ control arms run. This is set up for a double triangulated-ish rear. You can set it up for a single tri just the same. Mine is somewhat double triangulated. So we'll offset the lower control arm mounts in just a bit to account for the control arm angle, so they're not constantly bound up. But I mean, this is progress, ladies and gentlemen. We have a truss ready to be welded. Man, I don't think it fits any better than that. Like, that is so sick. The only thing that kind of sucks, and I'll show you if you come over here, is, and I might very well just jog that piece over like that, because that's my axle breather. So I'm probably going to be a little ghetto about this and jog that over just a bit, because it's already threaded, it's already there, it's going to do what I need it to do. So instead of welding that, completely straight, we're gonna jog it just a little. Actually, I don't even think we need to. I think it'll just fit. We can get a barred fitting, thread that right in, run our axle breather from right there. And we'll honestly probably just take the brake lines and tuck it right behind the truss. We may even try and, yeah, if we wanted to do that, we'd have to notch this. So we'll figure out a brake line mounting solution. I may just get some custom braided lines made that'll run from here, and then we'll tie them in so they're not hanging out super far. So they're not gonna get caught on rocks, and we'll run them over, and then we'll run them right along the top, tee them in, and then run them along the upper link to keep those things nice and safe and out of the rocks. And there's some pretty cool little like tabs and tricks that we can show you for making those stay up there and out of harm's way. But I think we're gonna clean up some tubes and do a little welding. I'm excited. I want to just take a quick moment. One of two things, actually. Puppies. Other puppy. Safety, gloves, safety glasses. You guys saw in that last clip, I took a piece like right here. If you're not wearing glasses, that shit's gonna really hurt and or take your vision. So wear some glasses, wear some gloves, maybe even WTD gloves. But the thing I really want to talk about is taking the time to clean metal. I can't tell you how many times I've seen projects done by people and they're like, dude, my welds are terrible. And I'm like, well, why didn't you prep the surface? Well, it takes too long. Well, do you want the project to be really nice and last, or do you just want to get it done and have it be shit? So take the time and have a tube that you've cleaned, and we're not even all the way done on this one. This is just the first pass with the wheel, or that. Which one do you think is gonna weld better? So you wanna get that oil out. You wanna because metal's porous. It's soaked in grime and oil and crap for years. I mean, these axles, 05, these axles are 15 years old. There's crap in the metal. So spend some time, get it clean, then weld. Because if you just weld, you're gonna wind up with a crap product that's not gonna last and it's gonna look terrible. And everybody's gonna know that you didn't do it right. So take an extra hour or two and do it right. And then you can pet puppies. Ari boo! Hi. Hi. Hi, always boo boo. Yeah, get you some fluffers, man. They make shop work way better. We have clean tubes. We've sprayed them with non-chlorinated brake clean. That is a really important thing. If it's chlorinated, you'll create very toxic mustard gas and dye. So don't do that. Even better, give it plenty of time to dry, air dry it, whatever you do. Even regular brake clean really sucks to breathe in when you weld over it. It's not fun at all. So we have our truss laid out. Artec makes this very easy. This truss basically just sets into place. The only thing that we're keeping in mind is I'm gonna offset this just a little bit. You won't really even be able to tell, but we'll have it offset just a little bit so we can have our breather in the factory location. There is the bolt up top for the brake lines and stuff. We put the bolt back in that. It's nice and tight. We're not gonna worry about that thing. We'll make something else up for the brake lines to attach to the axle. But for now, we're gonna lay a couple tack welds, do a little bit of measuring, and do a few more tack welds, and essentially try and get this axle, for the most part, mocked, ready to go under the Jeep. And we're not gonna fully weld it yet. We're just gonna get it all kind of set up. And once we get it under the Jeep once and just double check everything as far as our measurements and our coil perch placement and all that, then we'll pull it out one more final time and burn it all home. Because there's that old measured twice, cut once adage. Well, don't weld shit that you're not 100% certain on, because it's really tough to unweld things. So we're just gonna do some simple tack welds on this, make sure it's not gonna go anywhere, and well, then we'll test fit it in the Jeep probably in the next day or two. On those, they're not that pretty. The internet doesn't need to see this. We're still learning. It's been like 6 years since I welded axles, so they're not the best, and I'm still trying to figure out this welder and get it to settle in. So last night, I was just, quite frankly, getting my ass kicked by my welder. And a little backstory, we bought the welder used from a local guy. I won't use the word gentleman anymore because, well, kind of a little pissed. So got the welder, had never used it, just got my outlet installed, got everything we needed to start running this big 220, and was just tons of porosity. The weld sucked. And I'm not like a professional welder, but I also do know how to weld. So I knew, you know, what I was supposed to be doing and all of that kind of fun stuff. And I was going through what I needed to do, and I couldn't figure it out. So we called it quits. I kind of put out the call on Facebook for any of my friends that are, you know, professional welders, and everyone kind of chimed in with this, that, and the other, and we kind of dialed through it. And a buddy of mine locally reached out and said, hey, why don't you just come over to the house, bring the machine, and we'll go through it. So we went through the machine, and we wound up swapping out my gun for his spare gun. My gun actually had the wrong nozzle on it. And it's Sunday, and we live in Utah. So good luck getting anything. So we're gonna take my whole lead and gun to air gas tomorrow. I'll get some fresh consumables, I'll get everything I need, and we probably won't have any issues after that, or at least I hope so, because if not, then I gotta buy a whole new gun. But I'm borrowing his gun for the time being, and everything is welding way better. Let me grab our little test piece over here.
And Zach, tell people at home what we did.
Those are way better than that crap.
Yeah, but tell the people at home what you did to try and make it weld a little better on the axle.
So the wire wheel should have been good enough. MIG isn't the cleanest of welding processes. But with all the problems we were having, I just wanted to eliminate every single possible problem. So we went ahead and flap wheeled the entire tube. This thing is now like super clean. So very happy.
Not to mention he cut the truss off to re-flap wheel the whole thing.
Yeah, I did do that. But I'm very happy with it now. Now we're gonna get to welding on a truss and see where that leaves us. So I think we're in a much better spot now, that's for sure. But yeah, just if you buy a machine used, make sure you go through that. I mean, I've bought plenty of used tools and stuff in the past. I've never had an issue. This is kind of the first one where I got burned. Thankfully, a nozzle's like 20 bucks. We'll go through it. The biggest thing was a loss of time and having to use my buddy's time and borrow stuff from him. And it's just kind of one of those big clusters, but I think we're there, so no big deal. Let's get to this. I want to show you guys kind of how we're setting all this up, because it is a bit kind of like free floated, but I've got the tires chocked so it can't really move. And then I'm using my phone as an angle finder. So 11 degrees there is a 13 to 14 degree pinion angle, depending upon how you hold it. But 0 on the perches. So my perches are nice and flat. My coil springs are gonna sit awesome. And then I've set my lower control arms at 18 degrees. So I'm just super, I wanna say low tech. You know, it's just, I'm using my phone and a tape measure. So, and a Sharpie. So we've kind of got everything mocked in. This is really as far as this is gonna go. As far as I'm personally concerned, this is ready to go into the Jeep. I don't believe in welding everything and just going by the instructions and believing in them and saying everything's gonna be hunky-dory and burning and a whole truss on and potentially having to scrap an entire truss because I didn't put this thing underneath my Jeep to verify that everything was gonna be fine. So what we're gonna do is, as it sits now, I'll probably throw a couple more tacks on the main truss just to make sure that it's good to go, and while we're beating on this thing trying to get it to the garage, nothing falls off. So we'll probably add a couple more tacks here and there, and then we'll take it to the garage, test fit it under the Jeep. If everything test fits fine, we'll burn her home, and the rear will essentially be done as far as putting it in the Jeep goes. We still have the locker, the 538s, all of that stuff to accomplish, but in terms of installing, we're pretty well there. I mean, this has been very, very simple. Artec does make it easy. If anybody wants to do this on a ZJ, hit me up. I'll, kind of send you what I've figured out as far as making this kit work. But it shouldn't be too terribly difficult at all. It's just a matter of measuring and making sure you're, putting things where they belong. So that said, I'm pretty well wrapped up for the night. So we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for sticking with us while we kind of had our transitional period with works and schedules and different things and having a little baby and all that kind of stuff. We really appreciate your continued support. The same goes to all of our partners and sponsors that we work with. We really appreciate you guys working with us, even though we didn't put out any content for like 4 months. So that said, we're back. We're better than ever, bigger than ever, in my case, smaller than ever. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell everybody. See you guys next time.